Om Shanti, everyone. So today it's my great privilege to introduce Brother Shvetank. He has been Baba's child for almost 23 years. Currently, he's practicing as a cardiac anesthetist in North Carolina, USA. He and his Yugal, Sister Kanishta, who is also sitting in the front, she's waving. So they are running Gita Pathshala in their hometown in North Carolina, USA. I have personally known them. I have seen them serving because when I was staying in Dallas in a center, they visited us and I have seen them how tirelessly they did multiple programs. I have also seen them serving in Peace Village. Um, for all Baba's children, they serve with lot of dedication, love, lot of humility, generosity. Being such a big doctor, he has lot of humility, and I always admire that. Today, our topic is death, dying, and moving on. So, our Brahmin life is all about dying alive, and also sometimes we fear of death as well. So, it will be very interesting to know his sharing on this topic. Yes, Shvetang Bhai, the floor is all yours now. Om Shanti. And yes, before we start, a sister has lost her phone in Harmony Hall, I think in the back seats. And it was not a smartphone, it was a small phone. So if you find it, please get it to the backstage. Thank you.
Om Shanti. Thank you, dear Sister Garishma. I like how Baba wants us to be introduced as souls, children of the sweetest Father. And really, for the past 23 years, I have made the sincere effort, if you will, to become sweet every day a little bit more. I feel a big honor right now to be sitting here in front of all of you to share the insights that I have received from Baba. I hope to be able to deliver a very crisp, clear message that dying is not, there's nothing wrong with dying. It's not bad. And there's nothing to fear death. I think we Baba's children also end up having quite a bit of fear of death. In general, I have done these sessions for non-BKs, and this is one of the few times that I'm doing it for Baba's children. So I hope you all can see the PowerPoint on the screen. So fear of death. It's interesting that 23 years back, before I came to Baba, I was in the medical school. I was doing my internship actually when I met Baba. But in a medical school in India, with the government hospital that's attached to the medical school, you see a lot of morbidity, a lot of disease burden, and you see a lot of death. There are a lot of patients. I remember in those days there were patients who did not get timely medical care, and then they would come to the hospital in the last moments, and inevitably we would not be able to do anything to help them. Often we didn't have medicines. Often they didn't have money to buy medicines. Often we didn't have enough blood to give them if they had lost a lot of blood in some injuries. So we would see a lot of death. Then over years too, I have been a practicing cardiac anesthesiologist and an intensivist, and I've seen an enormous number of deaths in my life as a BK, but as a medical doctor. I remember in medical school there used to be a morgue. Between the medical school, the medical hospital, and the boys' hostel, where we used to live. And every time we would go towards the hostel, we would end up passing the morgue. And every day there would be 3 or 4 bodies sitting there, lying there. And every time I would see those bodies, I would have an intense fear. Maybe at that time I had too much of attachment before coming to Baba. And I felt at times a crippling fear of death. Not my mortality, not my death, but really seeing the death of my family members. When I would see those dead bodies, I would say, oh, next could be my mom, next could be my dad, next could be my other family members. And I realized very quickly that I have to somehow fix this fear because it was truly crippling. I remember many sleepless nights, many days when I wouldn't be able to eat properly or function properly just because of this lingering fear of death. And so that was a blessing in disguise, actually, the fear of death for me, because that led me to search for meaning about life, but about death as well. And of course, when we come to Baba, we understand Baba's knowledge. We listen to murlis every day. We dissect the murlis. We try to churn them. We try to imbibe them. Then so much of wonderful things evolve out of that information that we get every day. And so all that I'm going to share with you today would be from Baba's murlis. And at the same time, what I have learned from medical literature as well. So I have realized one thing, that all fear stems from ignorance. You see, I'm sure most of you would be afraid of alligators or snakes, right? Who is not afraid of snakes, right? Oh, that's awesome. Maybe you know how to handle snakes. 99% of the general population of the world would be afraid of snakes, but there are snake charmers. There are people who actually are able to take the venom out of the snakes to be able to, create anti-venoms. So many wonderful things are done, by people. Why? Because they know how snakes work, how snakes function, when they would attack and when they would not. And just because of that knowledge, they have no fear. So similarly, we fear death because we don't understand death. And if we can somehow understand death in its entirety, then there will be no fear whatsoever. I want to start this presentation by asking you to ponder upon a few questions. On a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being no fear and 10 being the maximum fear ever, what number would you give to your current level of fear of death? And I'm not asking you to answer. This is between you and yourself, you and Baba. Whatever your number is, my hope is at the end of the presentation, I will be able to reduce it for you. Most people, when I do these sessions for the public, for non-BKs, they are not honest and they would say 4, 5. But I assure you, if you go deeper into yourself and check, you'll find that the fear of death is quite enormous for each one of us. But whatever your number is, that's great. Now the next question is, what do you fear most about death? And the next question, do you want to sort out your fear of death? And why? I'll give you a few seconds to ponder upon these questions. What I'm realizing now is conquering the fear of death is conquering death itself. If I'm not afraid of death, in a way I can't die. So, over the past many years of research on death and dying, I have come up with 6 or 7 types of fear that we all encounter within ourselves and around us. The first fear of death is the fear of pain or suffering during the actual process of our or our loved one's death. What will happen? Will I die in pain? The second fear of the uncertainty of what lies after death. Where will I go? What will happen? Will I linger around like a ghost, or will I go directly to a new body? Fear of leaving loved ones behind and the concern for their well-being. What will happen to them? If I am the bread earner for the family, how will the family sustain themselves or itself when I am not around? Fear of loneliness when a loved one dies. Or if someone else is the bread earner, what will happen to me? Or say if I don't know how to cook food, and say my spouse is the one who cooks food, what will I eat? Or if I don't earn money and the spouse is the bread earner, then how will I sustain myself? Fear of not achieving anything substantial before dying. I think this is a very big fear for BKs. Baba always says that the longer we live or longer we lead our BK lives, the longer or more we'll be able to do effort to purify ourselves, which means that we will have a better next life, or in golden age, a better position. So if I die early, I will not be able to achieve anything. So there's a fear among BKs too. And then the fear of dying alone. This became very real during the COVID times, when many people did die alone. If there is any other type of fear, I'm happy to open this to all of you, to suggest if you think there's something I'm missing here. But I think these are the 6 main types of fears. And I'm going to try to remove all of these fears from your minds if they exist. And if they don't exist, congratulations. So first, at the outset, I want you all to know that death is never painful. As I mentioned earlier, I have seen patients die in my arms, day in and day out. Oftentimes, we take care of the anesthesia for the patients who have a heart function of 5%, 10%, who are pretty much dead, who need a heart transplant, lung transplant, liver transplant. Their whole body is falling apart. Everything is falling apart, and they die in our hands. I've seen patients who are criminals, murderers, who are on death sentence, die in front of me. Drug addicts, gangsters. But I've always seen them die peacefully. I've yet to come across a painful death. So think of it, even those people will die or die painlessly. Then why wouldn't we? Especially we are Baba's children. We are sitting in Baba's lap. Why will we not die peacefully and painlessly? And I assure you, the pain that we see is the pain while the person is alive, not when the person dies, as the person dies. They all die painlessly. So yes, we might have pain while we live, but we all will die painlessly. All right. So the first type of fear is gone for everyone. For sure. Can I get a show of hands? Yes? Gone? Thank you. More questions to ponder upon. Say, if I tell you today that you have a chance to live forever in this body, would you accept that? No. You want to go to golden age, right? We all want to go to golden age. We all want a new life. And think of it again, the next question. If I tell you that along with you, everyone around you will also live forever, are you okay with that? Are you okay with the same spouse forever? We all want newness, right? Who doesn't like newness? A new body. New body, new life means to start over again. Freshness. When we die, there is natural amnesia. When we are reborn, there is newness. We have to learn all over again. And there is joy in learning. Think of it, if you know everything already, then every day would be so boring. You have a new life, you start learning alphabet, you start learning numbers, you start learning math, you start learning geography and history. So much fun. So death is important. I'll take you through a little bit of what scriptures talk about, and not Hindu scriptures, Indian scriptures, but even in the West. There's a picture somewhere in Europe where they call this as Danse Macabre. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Pardon me if I'm not. They call it as the dance of death. And what this shows is that there is a skeleton, alternate skeleton, and in the middle between the skeletons is either a poor man who is disabled, a rich nobleman, a king, a saint, and so on and so forth, which tells us that everyone who has come has to die. Some of you may have heard about this shlok or a poem, if you will, by, I'm not sure who was the poet, maybe you all know more, but that's not important. What it says in Hindi is, I hai so jayenge, Raja Rang Fakir. I hai so jayenge, Raja Rang Fakir, which means that we are all born to die. Whether we are Raja, that is kings, we are beggars, that is Rang, or we are Fakirs, that is holy men. Ek singhasan chadi chale, ek bandhe janjeer. Ek singhasan chadi chale, ek bandhe janjeer. Whether we leave this world sitting atop a throne, that is singhasan, or we are dragged away by chains, that is janjeer, our deeds determine that. And that's what Baba tells us. Are you going to be with me, next to me, sitting in that procession, the wedding procession? Or are you going to be one of those people who come at the back as a bride, or one of those people who would walk in the back? That is going to be dependent on my actions. There's this phrase that I think originated from the ancient Stoics, the Greek Stoics, memento mori, that mortality is natural. We all will die. All of us will die. And there's another phrase that is, I think, part of Christianity. They talk about ars moriendi, which means the art of dying. See, we all will die, so why not we master the art of dying? Can we die in a better way? Or do we want to die in the usual way that people of the world die? We all know the soul that we are, the soul-body paradigm. We all know that we are souls, not bodies. that the immortal soul exists in this mortal coil of ours. The mortal coil is going to perish. The soul is imperishable, indestructible, immortal, eternal. So in a way, death, although it is the ultimate truth, it is also the ultimate lie. Yes, we know that now, that we can never die, the soul can never die, the body may die. But in a way to understand that this whole process of us leaving the body and going to the next, that is moving on, is inseparable from life itself. It is as inseparable as day from night or night from day, as inseparable as the crests of the wave and the troughs of the wave. The waves rise in the ocean and they fall. You cannot have only rising waves. All waves that rise have to fall. So all of us are born to die, yet we never die. And so art of dying. What does art of dying really mean? It's the art of living. That's what the law of karma tells us, the domino effect. We are all interconnected. Whatever goes around comes around. We tell these things to other Baba's children. We tell these things to the public when they come. But often we Baba's children also forget. So it's important for us to really drill it deep inside us that if we live a happy life, what will happen? We will die happily. Yeah. If I live a happy life, I will die a happy death. And if I live a miserable life, what will happen? I'll die a miserable death. So every day I have to remind myself, every day I think it's important for us Baba's children to remind ourselves that we have to be happy. And we cannot be happy unless we bring happiness in other people's lives. Baba says this many times, that if we give sorrow to others, we will die in sorrow. Baba says that, these are words from Baba's Murli. Give happiness and receive happiness. Give blessings and receive blessings. It's not enough that we don't give sorrow to others. Baba often says that. If I haven't given sorrow today, is that enough? Is that enough? I have to make sure that I give happiness to others. Then I lead a happy life, and then I lead a happy death as well. Time. We all know that life goes in cycles. For the non-BKs, this is an important thing to understand, but for us, Baba's children too, we know that now that we have become part of Baba's family, part of Baba's army, that Baba has taken over our lives, that only the best is in store for all of us. The future is ours. This life, our death, moving on, and our next birth are going to be more beautiful than anyone on this planet can imagine. In fact, we too can't imagine how beautiful golden age is going to be. Baba has given us glimpses of golden age in the Murlis. We have heard from the trance messengers, Didis, and brothers or whoever who have given us a glimpse of golden age. But they say that golden age is way better than all of these combined. So we are going to go there. Aren't we sure? Is everybody sure, right? Why? Because Baba has given us this 100% surety that all of us will go to golden age. So our next life has to be better. Our next life has to be happy. So no one has any fear anymore of what lies beyond this life and this death. Yes. Have I been able to eliminate that fear now? 100%? Can I have a show of hands? Agreed? Wonderful. I'll take you into a little bit about the human body. Do you know that there are almost 40 trillion cells in the human body? 40 trillion cells means 1 trillion is 1,000 billion, and 1 billion is 1,000 million, and 1 million is 1,000 thousands. That many cells we have in our human body, out of which 300 million cells die every minute. If you do the math, it's 300 times 60, that is per hour, times 24, that is per day. 432 billion cells die every day. And that's the exact same number of cells that are reborn or recreated. That is roughly 2.6% of your body is replaced every single day. Which means that your body is replaced roughly every 40 days. So every 40 days you actually have a new body. The body that you have right now, none of the cells are going to be there 40 days from today. This body of yours will die in 40 days. And a new body will be reborn in which you'll be living. Think of it, isn't it interesting? In fact, if you go into the atomic or molecular level, the atoms that you have, or if you go even deeper into the electrons, protons, neutrons that we have, because each atom is comprised of electrons, protons, and neutrons. None, not even one electron or proton or neutron that you were born with are in your body at this time. How does that feel? Think of it even, look at your pictures, how you looked like when you were a small child versus you were an adolescent versus now versus old age. The body looks so different. So really, there is a different body every day. And at least 5-6 times in our lifetime. And here we know every 40 days the entire body is replaced. So you are dying so frequently anyways. And think of it in a moment. I'm going to take this even further. There was a very beautiful saying by one of the Greek philosophers, Heraclitus. And he said, no man can ever step into the same river twice. For it's not the same river, and he is not the same man. You see, every day we are bombarded by so much of information. Billions and billions of bits of information bombarding our consciousness every minute. We have so many experiences every day, and especially as Baba's children, when we listen to Baba's Murlis, we learn so many new things, we imbibe so many things, we bring these into practice every day. we are transforming ourselves in such beautiful ways that almost we are becoming unrecognizable for ourselves. So every day we are reliving or getting reborn. And that's how I like to do this exercise for myself. That every day when I go to sleep, some days I forget actually, but I try to do that on a regular basis, that when I'm going to sleep, I say to myself, Shvetank, this is your deathbed. You're dying. The Shvetank that existed so far is going to die. And the next day morning, I see that same bed, my deathbed, as a birthing table, that a new Shvetank is being born. I invite you to hold this thought for a couple of minutes. We can leave the light as yellow, it's okay. We don't even need music, right? But just allow yourself to immerse yourself in this thought that every night you're dead. And then you're reborn the next day morning when you wake up. See, so many times we hold on to things that happened in the past. Somebody said something, somebody did something. We are not able to forgive them. Sometimes we are not able to forgive ourselves for what we have done. But if you think the Shvetank that did these, or Shvetank that experienced these things, is dead tonight, or last night was dead, a new Shvetank has been reborn. For each one of you, think that for a little bit. It's a beautiful experience. Now let's take a few minutes to understand. We all like to control. Yeah. We Baba's children actually love to control even more. You know? Am I the only control freak here in this room? Yeah. But you see, what can we control anyways? Did you control the sun rising today in the morning? Will you be able to control the sun setting tonight in the evening? Did you control the strong winds that were blowing last night? Do you control the flowers that are blooming so beautifully in Baba's garden? Did you paint the sky blue? Oh, thank you. What about the beautiful colors of the rainbow? See, such an amazing thing. There is so little we can control. In fact, if you go deeper and deeper into the understanding of who we are and the entire universe that's around us, the drama of life, we realize that there is absolutely nothing we can control. So I like this, relax, nothing is under control. And therefore there is no worries. There's this beautiful African phrase, Hakuna Matata. Yes, from the Lion King. There's nothing to worry. And Baba teaches us, carefree emperors, worry-free emperors. You see, there is a big intelligence that is handling everything so beautifully for us. There could have been a million things that could have gone wrong, and we may not have been sitting here right now. But all of these things work together so beautifully for us, so that we could enjoy this amazing space of Madhuban, where there are blossoming flowers, where there's this amazing Brahma Bhojan, where there is the love of our seniors, where there's the love of these brothers and sisters everywhere. We come together as a family, we get sustained, we get healed, we grow. So think of it, if these forces have taken care of us so far, think of it even, before you came to Baba. Now we are making changes in the way we live. But even before we came to Baba, or even as a small child, somebody took care of us. Somebody kept us warm. Somebody gave us milk and food. Somebody sent us to the school to learn. There were always forces that were taking care of us. Agreed? And think of it, the same forces that have taken care of us so far have also taken care of all of the loved ones that we have in our lives so far. Our parents existed before us, right, in this body, in this lifetime. They were taken care of. Our spouse, say if you have a spouse, before you met the spouse, some forces took care of the spouse. So why are we afraid? If those forces have taken care of everything and everyone so beautifully with zero intervention from us so far, why would they not take care of us and them in the future? Agreed? So worry-free. Good. Now I'll talk a little bit about near-death experiences. And there are a lot of lessons to learn from this. In a way, this is very interesting thing to know that lots and lots of people around the world have had near-death experiences. And there was a Dutch cardiologist who studied many of these patients, and there is a whole body of evidence. There's a whole lot of information today of how these people experienced such amazing experiences. And I'll share a few. This was by John Burke, who talked about, I went through this dark black vacuum at super speed. You could compare it to a tunnel. I saw bright light, and on my way, then I heard beautiful music and I saw colors I'd never seen before. I saw this light. It was white, extremely bright. It is the pinnacle of everything there is, of energy, of love, especially of warmth, of beauty. I was immersed in a feeling of total love. Some of you probably know about this lady, Anita Moorjani, who wrote this book, Dying to Be Me, and she talked about, she had this Hodgkin's or non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, some type of lymphoma, and she had a total collapse of all her organs. She was in coma, on ventilator support, and she really had died. And then she talked about in her book, when she came back, she shares, I continued to sense myself expanding further and further outward, drawing away from my physical surroundings. It was as though I was no longer restricted by the confines of space and time, and continued to spread myself out to occupy a greater expanse of consciousness. And when she came back, she was healed, completely healed. Her lymphoma had gone, and now she tours around the world sharing about this. So what we have realized, the commonalities of all these experiences, is that these people have a crystal clear consciousness, even though there's no blood flowing into the brain. They have a very realistic out-of-body experience. They all talk about an overwhelming sense of love and peace, tremendous ecstasy, and meeting spiritual beings. They also talk about a panoramic life review. They talk about God, meeting God, unlimited knowledge. They talk about seeing the future. They also talk about a tunnel, and then in the tunnel they encounter bright light or a being of light. But what has been seen that across the board, when they come back, there is reduction in the fear of death. Some of them have no fear of death after that. There's a focus on here and now rather than preoccupation with death in all of them. There's a sense of relative invulnerability. There's a strong belief in continued existence and a shift towards spirituality. So near-death experiences cause them to have these kind of beautiful experiences. There is a change in values, priorities towards love and caring of others. They go from being egocentric to taking care of others, loving unconditionally, increase empathy, and decrease interest in status symbols and materialistic lifestyles. So this teaches us that there are really two levels of death. One is this physical death, when the soul leaves the body. But there is another death, and that is the death of the ego. You see, for all of us, we work very hard to create what we have right now, to become what we are right now. And death seems like an end of all of that. That's the ego death. But what belongs to us anyways? What was ours to start off with anyways? From us, Baba's children point of view, all the knowledge that we have received is from Baba. The know-how to make effort was given by Baba. The love and strength to move forward was given by Baba. Then why are we afraid? That's why Baba says, die alive. What does dying alive mean? Kill the ego. That's one killing that you would not be accused of in the court of law. You won't be tried in any court of law. In fact, you'll be applauded by the universe itself. Baba will take us in his heart if we are ready to kill our ego. Because if you understand that if we can kill our ego, if the ego is dead, then in a way we have died. And so we can't die anymore. And that's why Baba talks about the guests or the traveler consciousness. I am a guest, a traveler in this world. Let's take a few minutes to hold this thought. I am a guest. Our original home is the home of silence, of peace. Where there is no body, just us souls living in eternity. with our Baba. And we have come here for a temporary period of time. We are in our bodies only for a short while. We are guests in this body. We are guests in this world. All that we have right now was acquired in this land. There is nothing we brought from our original home to this land. And there is nothing we can ever take back with us when we go back. See yourself traveling through time and space. Through one body, one lifetime, to another body, another lifetime. A constant traveler. Unstoppable. Unyielding. Yet surrendering to the forces of the universe. To the intelligence of the drama. The intelligence that is far bigger than all of us combined. To the forces that have taken care of us so far. And have also taken care of all our loved ones. So far. Om Shanti. This is a phrase, a Latin phrase, carpe diem. Seize the day. Baba teaches us to live in here and now. Think of it during the day, any day. How much of the time do we Brahmins too live in the present moment? Be honest. We teach others about being in the here and now, in the present moment, but we too love to go back into the past or think about the future. And in that very process, we end up wasting our time. We are not able to experience the bounty of life that presents itself in every moment of our lives, because we don't live in that moment. And that's why we are not able to experience a truly meaningful existence. And that's why even we, Baba's children, somewhere fear death. We feel that we haven't made enough effort. There was once I was doing this session to a group of young people, and there was one young boy who stood up and said, in the earlier part of the session when I was talking about the different types of fears, actually that fifth fear, the fear of not achieving enough, was what I added after what he commented. And he said, that's what I fear. If I die tomorrow, I haven't done enough. I have not even finished my education. Forget about taking up a nice job and serving communities, serving mankind, serving people, my family members. I have not done anything. So I don't want to die this early. But if I lead every day of my life totally present in the moment, making the most out of every moment, every hour, every day, then I will have a sense of contentment, deep, deep contentment that I have done my best. And then I wouldn't fear death myself. Agreed? Can I have a show of hands if you agree? Yes, thank you. Now I'll take you through a little bit of understanding of end-of-life experiences. I talked about near-death experiences, but end-of-life experiences. I had once a student come. She was a hospice physician, and she was sharing a very interesting thing which I have been talking about, but I had never heard of this from a non-BK, if you will, And she said that in her past 15, 20 years of taking care of hospice patients, she has realized, and I hope everybody understands what is hospice. So hospice, palliative care, they go together. When patients have an incurable disease like cancer or some chronic illness, when they know that they can't be fixed, when medical management, to cure them has failed in every form and sense, then there is this hospice care where the patients are kept comfortable and so on and so forth. And usually it depends, usually it is 2-3 months to maybe even 6 months in some cases. And she was saying that as soon as the patient realizes that death is inevitable and gets transferred to actual hospice care, very quickly the patient becomes a better person. Kinder, more loving, more compassionate, more respectful, and less interest in the mundane. And she commented something that touched my heart. She said, "Why can't we as humanity understand this without having to have a diagnosis that's incurable, without having to be transferred to hospice care?" Think of it. And that's what I told her, that Baba is teaching us. This meditation teaches us. What did Mama always say? Consider every moment to be your last moment. So we are in hospice right now. If you think of it this way, I am in hospice care. With Brahma Bhojan, yes. Yeah. But at least that we won't have greed. I want the third or the fourth gulab jamun. Disinterest in the mundane. Consider every moment to be your last moment. We are in hospice care. What did Didi say? Always, she used to say, this is the time to return home. Ab ghar jana hai. Think of it. If we constantly remind ourselves, wouldn't we become kind, loving, compassionate, respectful, and begin to have disinterest in the mundane automatically? Dadiji said, yeah, thank you. Give respect and receive respect. When we give respect to others, we'll receive respect. That will give us happiness. Happiness would create a happy life. And what will happy life give us? A happy death. I want to take a few moments to talk about helping our loved ones transition. See, unless we have reconciled with our own mortality / immortality, you understand this paradigm? Yes, everybody. Unless we have reconciled with this truth ourselves, how can we help others? Can we? When I have patients, nowadays I don't take care of ICU patients much, but when I was in active ICU care, I used to see these patients and I knew that they would be dying, and not just the patient, sometimes the patient is unconscious, but the patient's family members would be in distress. But I found that the more I've reconciled with this truth myself, I'm able to give them that strength, that energy. to reconcile with their death and the death of their loved ones too. Just before COVID, my Lokik mom left her body. About 3 years before that, my Lokik father left his body. And for my father's time, maybe I hadn't matured to that extent, but I was unaffected for sure. But I knew that when I came to know about my mom's, medical condition, and I knew that she wouldn't live long. And so I would work with her every day. We would sit in meditation. I brought her to Madhuban. I got her operated in Global Hospital and in the Bombay BSES hospital. I brought her here for convalescence. And I used to tell her so many times, it's okay to die. It's okay. And I helped her get a very firm handle on death. I used to remind her that now that you've taken Baba's knowledge, you're going to come to Golden Age and you'll have this beautiful family. You'll have the most lovely family members, and I used to give her a visualization of you will be a small baby with tiny fingers and tiny toes, and she used to like that so much. And when she left her body, I had the fortune of being with her. In fact, I was alone in the room. No, not alone. I think my Lokik sister was also there. But she died in my arms, the last few breaths. And it was such a beautiful experience. We all meditated. And then the next day was her cremation. The following day was 18th January, and we offered Baba's Bhog, and then I went to get rid of the ashes, I don't know what the best word to say for that, the ashes in the Ganges, because that's what she had asked me to do. And then I came back, and with the help of the sister at the center in Bhopal, the very lovely sister, and I think it's important for me to say her name too. Her name was Sister Kiran. And she so beautifully organized the entire event for her. We got a big hall, booked a big hall, beautiful decoration, almost like a marriage. And the sister gave the sermons. She talked about Baba's knowledge for an hour and a half. The whole hall was full. We invited so many people. Even VIPs came from the government, local government. There was Brahma Bhojan made by the center. The sisters tirelessly put so much of effort to make Brahma Bhojan for 500 souls. We sang, we danced, we had such a wonderful time. And it was such a beautiful send-off, and everybody appreciated that. A big service happened. And so I think that could not have happened if I had not gone through this much of internal preparation with understanding of death. So if you see, when you, again I'll repeat, if you have reconciled completely with your mortality/immortality, you are able to serve so many people in so many beautiful ways as they transition or as their loved ones transition. I'll talk a little bit about the types of death. This can be classified in many different ways, and I don't want to go into that about accidental death, homicidal death, suicidal death, cancer, long-term, short-term, heart attack. But I think a better way of classifying this is based on how much time it takes to die. So death within seconds to few hours, death within hours to few days, from few days to few months, over years. Now, if I ask you, which kind of death would you want? Instant? All right. But if you look at, say, Mama, she had cancer, she died over many years. Was her death not good? Then why are we hoping that we have an instantaneous death? Didn't we just hear that death makes us better human beings, better souls? So if, in a way, think of it, if there's instantaneous death, will we have a chance to become better people? This is just food for thought. Think about it. I am not going to go too deep into this. Maybe another time, another session, maybe on one-to-one basis, we can talk more about this. But in a way, think about, Baba tells us that there are two types of deaths here too. Death that you're aware of and that you're not aware of. Let me ask you this question too. What kind of death would you like for yourself? Death that you're aware of, or death that happens when you're asleep? Well, you're aware of? How many for aware? And how many want to go when you're asleep? Why? We just talked about that death is a beautiful experience in itself. Say, for example, there are gulab jamuns. Everybody understands gulab jamuns? Yeah, we had them a few days back. Would you like a gulab jamun put into your mouth when you're asleep or when you're wide awake? It's a great experience. We want to be wide awake for that. Then why not for death? People in the world talk about samadhi. When people have completely reconciled with their lives, taken care of this whole karmic load, which Baba talks about as karma teeth. When we have meditated enough, when we have practiced soul consciousness enough, then all our karma would be eliminated, and then the soul will leave the body. Now think of it, if I've not eliminated my karma enough, if I've not meditated enough, then death may not happen instantaneously. Then it might take some time for me to die. But that too is good, because then I will have cleared my karma during that phase of death too. I hope I'm making sense here. Am I? Everybody is okay with that? The reason why I'm saying is because we Baba's children too hope and expect that we die instantaneously, we leave this body instantaneously, and that we sleep through our death. But that may not happen for all of us. Whatever happens is good. And if we too go through that phase where we die over months and weeks or months or years, that's okay too, because that will give us an opportunity to heal ourselves of our past karmas, to reconcile with our negative actions and become the best human being ever. So hopefully I have eliminated all of these 6 types of fear for all of you. There will not be a painful death. The fear of uncertainty of what lies after death is gone, right? We know that we're going to go into golden age, the most beautiful age. We'll have beautiful bodies. See, even if we are not making full effort, are we truly making full effort? No. But even this little bit of effort that we're making is going to give us an amazing life in the future. Everybody is sure here? A show of hands for that? Yes? Good. So no fear? Good. Fear of leaving loved ones behind? See, here I also want to talk about something very interesting which Baba had said. That many times because of our attachment, we don't make people around us, our loved ones, independent. The more we learn the art of loving in a detached way, then we will be able to make them more and more independent. And as we make them more and more independent, then we won't have the fear of how they will subsist when we are not there. Agreed? Often we ourselves are dependent on others. How many brothers here know how to cook their own food? How many brothers who don't know how to cook their own food? You don't have to raise your hand. How many sisters can change the car tire on their own? Or maybe change the light bulb? Good. See? Very good. A big round of applause for everyone. Good. See? Good job. See, if you are not independent in something, if you are dependent on someone, when that someone leaves his or her body, then you will feel the pain. That's what Baba is teaching. Become all-rounders. Become independent. Make others independent. Become independent. And if every moment we live in the highest way that Baba is teaching us, we will achieve so much. We will feel so full. We will feel so contented that we won't feel that we haven't done enough. And there is never the fear of dying alone because we have Baba with us. One of the other important things that we have learned through studies of end-of-life experiences and of near-death experiences is that people say that as they were going through the tunnel, they felt other spiritual beings, they felt the closeness of God Himself more than ever before. And even people who die alone in hospice care and they have no family member, they say that their ancestors or people who have died in the past, they would come, their spirits would come, they would say, I could see my spirit. So we are never alone. And for us, the most important thing is that we have Baba with us. And how many of you feel not just Baba, but the Dadis as well? Yeah, right? Baba, and when I'm saying Baba, I mean Bap Dada, Shiv Baba and Brahma Baba and Mama. Right now I'm feeling as if I'm being backed by Brahma Baba and Mama and all the ancestor souls behind me, saying, Shvetank, yes, keep going, you're doing good, I can feel it. So I'm sure you all feel that too. So if you leave your body now or today, maybe your family members are back in your country, will you die alone? Will you die alone? Yeah? No, right? Good. So some take-home points, again to revise, death is not a bad thing, never painful. It's the ultimate truth and the ultimate lie. If we do good to others, we will receive good. If we receive good, we live happily. If we live happily, we will die happily. Do good every moment. Don't waste even a moment in futile things. looking at others, what are they doing, and so on and so forth, which we sometimes love to do, right? No? No? Yeah. Trust the intelligence of the universe and the forces of the universe, and Baba, Brahma, the highest energies of the universe with us. There's really nothing to fear. So shall we practice death? Shall we practice returning home now? See, people, the basketball players, when they have to go onto the court, they say, some of these most famous basketball players, they say that they have played or they have tried to put that ball in that loop or whatever they call it, like 10,000 times, 20,000 times, 50,000 times, I don't know what kind of number. And that's when they have that perfection on that court. So can we also practice, or should we not practice? When death is inevitable, why not practice it? Shall we do it? Let's do it together. I don't have to remind you that you are a soul. You know that you're a soul. So just hold that thought very powerfully in your mind right now, that you are a soul, immortal, indestructible, imperishable, eternal. This body of ours will perish inevitably, but the soul is eternal, can never die. See yourself systematically doing all that it takes to use this body in a worthwhile way, to serve the yajna, to serve Baba's children, giving happiness to everyone. Happiness upon happiness. Nothing but happiness. Feel your whole life transforming into the happiest life ever. As if the entire happiness of the universe is beginning to funnel into you. See yourself systematically clear away your karmic debt through the pure remembrance of one Baba. See yourself becoming independent, an all-rounder, one Baba as the support and no one else, and teaching everyone around you the same thing, making them independent by their connection with Baba and no one else. And now you're free to leave this body. In a second, you are out of this body. See the body lifeless, sitting in the chair, and you hovering above your body. No heartbeat, no respiration, no blood circulation. This body is ready to be discarded. See it being taken away, but you are totally at peace. You did all that was needed to be done with this body. You are now ready for a new life, a new birth, a new body. And even as this body is cremated or whatever, there is no pain. You see the cremation happening in front of you. The last rites. And in your mind, you bid everyone farewell. And you turn your head upwards towards your home, the original home of all of us, the land of silence and total peace. You're here in this land where Baba himself resides, waiting for you to welcome you. His arms of light outstretched, his eyes shining brightly. And you are now in God's lap. In the best place in the whole universe, merged in His love. Love upon love. Om Shanti.
शिव पिता को अब याद करो, मुक्ति धाम तुम्हें जाना है। अपने सुकर्मों के बल पर ही सतयुग में तुमको आना है। शिव पिता को अब याद करो। ये संगम का स्वर्णिम युग है, शिव पिता फिर से आया है।
ब्रह्मामुख से शिव बाबा ने वही गीता ज्ञान सुनाया है।
कलयुग का अंत अब आया है, विकराल विनाश खड़ा आगे।
अब हम सबका शिव पिता ने बतलाया है।
शिव पिता को अब याद करो। पांडव शिव शक्ति सेना की रणभेरी अब फिर बजती है।
शिव बाबा के ज्ञान से फिर माया को मार भगाना है।
शिव पिता को अब याद करो, सतयुग में तुमको आना है। शिव पिता को अब याद करो, मुक्ति धाम तुम्हें जाना है। अपने सुकर्मों के बल पर ही सतयुग में अब तुम्हें आना है।
धाम में तुम्हें
सतयुग में अब तुम्हें आना है।
धाम में तुम्हें जाना है।
I just want to thank Baba, of course, these ancestor souls who were there with me. I never saw this, so many beautiful pictures of the ancestor souls. The organizing committee that gave me this opportunity to present Baba's special children who take care of the audio visual, the lights, all of you, Baba's lovely children sitting here in the audience, and my Yugal Kanishta, who has always been a support for me in my life. Thank you so much. Om Shanti.